Hey everybody, it's March 27th, 2020, and we've got a great update for you. A lot of stuff going on with Tradecraft, COVID-19, and Colorado in general. So we'll get right to it. Good morning everybody. Appreciate you guys coming online today, even though I just sent this out yesterday. Usually we do these at the beginning of the month, but things are happening so quickly. Wanted to get out some important information for everybody that wanted it. So going to be going a little bit ad lib here, but we'll follow it up with posting this on the YouTube channel and following up with a few more files, so if anybody has it. So the chat's open, so if anybody has any questions, feel free and type away. So a few things. Been on some calls with Adams County Economic Development and their task force for small businesses. So Adams County and all the surrounding counties are really taking this seriously and wanting to know anything and everything that they can do to help small businesses during this time. So we're a part of that just as Tradecraft, and how we can be representing our members and industry in general. So hearing a lot of information that's coming down from them, as well as ASA, American Subcontractor Association. The Colorado chapter has been fantastic with keeping their website updated with a lot of different documents. Some of those you might have seen in the email that I put out to everybody. Another one is Cottony Construction Law. They've been really fantastic with helping us out with webinars and providing resources just for free. To anybody that wants to log on and has a few questions. They are charging just a flat fee for the the Essential Businesses letter. So what this is if you need to give your crews documentation that they are in construction and that they are part of essential services, Cottony Construction Law can put something like that together for flat fee of $100, so pretty good deal on that. But it's things like that we're trying to reach out to professionals in and outside the industry just to make sure we have as much information and resources as possible here at Tradecraft for everybody that needs it to get through this time. So I don't have too many slides today. It was really going to be probably just about 15-20 minutes, just give an update on what I'm seeing, what we're seeing here as a community, and what we're doing about it. And really, if anybody has any questions, happy to take a look at those and respond back either on the chat or on the email. So first of all, the stay-at-home orders. We've seen a lot of things change with this. So first, Governor Polis came out with his, then Mayor Hancock came out with his that was revised about 2 hours later to include liquor stores and cannabis. So funny, not funny. And then all of the counties and Tri-County Health came together, issued theirs, and theirs were some things matched up, other things didn't. And now Governor Polis has kind of come together with all the counties, and they've issued essentially it's a little bit more congruent now of who is affected, how long it's going to last, what it affects, how people should be operating. So try to put the majority of those links up, but as they change, I'll put those up on other emails. So as we get them in. What Tradecraft's doing. So this is a little bit tricky because we are considering ourselves an essential service to our members who are also critical services. I'm a little conflicted with this because I'm seeing some other companies considering themselves essential business, and they're really not. I've seen sign companies do it. WeWork is doing it, and it seems to be that they're putting. I don't want to judge, but it could be that they're putting either the public or their employees at risk, and we certainly don't want to do that ourselves, and we don't want to, take advantage of being deemed an essential service. So what we're doing is, with our rooftop units, we're providing fresh air exchanges, as many as we can, 3.5 an hour, just keeping the fans going, wiping down all of the surfaces. So the typical recommendations from CDC. But the other thing of what we're doing, we have a pretty large space. Our atrium is about 4,000 square feet. And so we've set all of our tables at least 12 feet apart. And we're encouraging all of our members. Usually there's only about, 4 or 5, maybe 6 members on down there. Keep your distance. And if you don't have to be here, if you can work from home, encourage you to work from home. But some of the things that we are doing is we're still accepting packages. So a lot of the material suppliers in town, they're being interrupted. But our members are still able to receive FedEx packages, Staples, Simpson for hardware, things like that are still able to be delivered here. So for our members, they can still receive critical things for their business, keep the projects moving forward. And they just have to come in, get those. They might work for an hour or so and then leave and really stay on the job sites as much as possible. So that's what we're doing. And as things change, we're really going to be keeping a look on that and making sure that we're doing what's best for our members and what's best for the community, and keeping the gears working, moving, and keeping contractors working. That's going to be really important. We don't need, the numbers that just came out. It was yesterday. 3.28 million Americans filed for unemployment, and they're crashing systems. So, as much as we can, safely keeping people working, we got to do that. And that's how we're approaching this, but we got to do it safely. So Tradecraft's going to be continually looking at that and making sure that we are doing that. For any of your businesses, same thing. Keep people working, but don't do it at an expense of health and safety. So if I can say anything, I'd probably just recommend doing that. You got to do what's right for your business. Everybody does right now. Helpful documents. So I sent those out yesterday, some links. A few folks have reached out, and I've sent the example essential businesses letter. If anybody has any other questions on that, please send me an email. I'll send you all the links that we have. Let's see here. So we've got a few folks on here, but what do you do during times like this as a business owner? A lot of it's outside of our control. We control what we can, so we keep working, doing what we can. But if there are stay-at-home work orders, shelter-in-place work orders, what do you do as a business owner? Speaking on my behalf personally, you can be inundated by all of this different information that's coming in. What do you believe? How do you forecast out even a week, let alone a month and a quarter on out there? So just going to speak a little bit about what I've been doing, and hopefully that can be a little bit more helpful to you guys. We do have a question. Do we have any information about subcontractors? We have employees covered with the new unemployment laws, but aren't sure what we can do or sure for our subs. All right, that's a really big one. We did have a webinar with Cottney Construction Law as far as the new unemployment laws and what employers need to do. So for any of your subcontractors that you have, a couple of different things. If they are working on your job sites, you want to make sure that the lines of communication that you have to your clients and getting billed and communicate those things to the subcontractors. So making sure that the subs aren't getting over their skis as far as buying materials and doing work on the job site, that an owner or client is now in a compromised position and can't fund on those projects. So that's I think number one, other than the health and safety. You want to make sure that those gears of finance are not being impacted on your projects. Banks are getting very nervous, even with a $2 trillion stimulus package. They don't quite know how all this is gonna shake out. So number one, make sure the money is still flowing on there, and watch out for your subcontractors on that they're not overcommitting things. Number two, ASA had a great working protocol for job sites. That it's a Word document, so all they need to do is fill in their name and really distribute that to all of their crews to make sure that folks understand how to work safely on the job sites. So one thing that Continuity Construction Law did bring up is that OSHA is still on out there, and nobody has really gotten a construction site shut down because of COVID violations. However, any employee can still raise unsafe working conditions with OSHA for any reason. So if they are getting the sense, any employee on a job site is getting a sense that you're not taking their safety and health seriously, if you're not communicating, I wouldn't expect them to be spiteful, but you never know what people are going to do. And so they could call OSHA. OSHA comes on the job site and says, well, we've received a written complaint that there might be health concerns, safety concerns on the site. And so they do an OSHA walkthrough. So in general, you want to make sure that everybody is feeling that you're taking their health and safety personally and seriously. So that, I think, is number two, is make sure that you're having effective communication with your subs and everybody on the job site, making sure that they feel safe in working in these conditions. So that's number two. I'm sure there's a few others that I'll think about as we keep going, but if you have any other specific questions and with that, keep the chats coming. So back to a little bit, as a business owner, what can you do? What I found in doing best is, in times of uncertainty, just really keeping my focus, instead of growth oriented, maybe really take the focus back. And it's a great time to say, all right, what is my business? What are my core competencies? And how can I best facilitate that? So there's also a great article, and I'll distribute that if anybody wants it, but it's called Roaring Out of a Recession. And it was an article written in 2010, looking back in hindsight, what happened in 08, 09, what companies did, and the steps that they took. A lot of steps were defensive in nature. Some steps were aggressive in nature. And how did those steps determine how they came out of a recession? And I haven't put this out there yet because it's a scary article, because a lot of folks didn't do all that well. But there was I think it was like 10 to 15% did it really, really well. And what they found is that every company can take these times of uncertainty and general recession and retraction to work on internal processes and get things really firing on all cylinders. So cut out the fat. Look at everything in your P&L, on your balance sheet, and this is a time to really strategically take a look at everything. Do you need these monthly reoccurring charges? Are they benefiting your business, and why? So really taking a look at those things. Other folks are going to need to make cuts as far as employees go. It's going to eventually happen. Who do you cut and why? This is mostly for larger corporations, but do you just blanket cut 20% of your workforce, or do you strategically look at who and why? Make those cuts and make them once. If you can, just make them once, and then circle the wagons and get everybody that you have and really band them together and say, everybody, we're going to get through this, and here's how. Here's the strategy that we're going to hunker down, and then our growth strategy to make sure we come out of this before. That's going to generate some loyalty, and you're going to really need that. If you have to, make pay cuts to people in order to do that, people willing to do that once, probably not 2 and 3 times. So as best you can, circle the wagons and make consistent communication to the employees that you have, the crews that you have, because they're going to be looking for that, especially right now. In all this uncertainty, this is a time for business owners to be business leaders and really communicate to their crews. 1, we care about you. 2, we're all in this together. And 3, here's how we're going to move forward. That's going to be really reassuring, and everybody during times like this is really looking for some consistency and something they can rely on. So as best as you can do that. One thing that we've been looking, another thing on that, for anything banking, loan, now is, if you can, a great time to refi with rates out there getting federal government pretty much zero. If you can refi anything you can right now, I'd say do it. I'm looking at refining a short-term loan that we took out, a business loan, and I'm looking to refi it into more of a long-term debt at some pretty low rates. So really be looking at that. Anything you can do it. Also, making connections. So this is not really the time for sales per se, because everybody is contracted, and it's going to make you look pretty callous and heartless if you're still looking to pitch widgets and sales and all that thing. It's not saying don't keep tabs on some of the projects that you're working on or that you have in your pipeline. Definitely do that. But if you're, say, a roofer, now's not the time to go knocking on doors. Seems pretty obvious, but still see a few things on out there with, hitting sales. What I'm doing and what a lot of folks around here are doing is, this is a time to look at your strategic connections and build your network. And social media is a great way to do that. And it's not knocking on the doors trying to pitch them. It's, hey, see that you've done some really great stuff, social media, or you've got some really cool projects, just would like to connect and see what it is y'all do. And those kind of connections now are going to pay dividends later. Those might be where the more worthwhile the connection is. Say if you're HVAC, you're replacing furnaces, now's the time to reach out to plumbers and electricians and other home services, where you can refer projects out and they might be able to refer projects back to you. This is, again, that circling the wagons, building a core connection group and saying, all right, linking arms and saying, we're going to get through this together. If there's anything that I can do for you, let me know, and vice versa. And that's how we made it through 08, 09. And that's how we're going to make it through on this one. So for the future, actually going back, one other thing that I've seen businesses work, and one thing that we're working on right now is, this is shifting everybody to really looking at what your digital presence is, how to manage meetings virtually. What is Zoom? What is GoToMeeting? What are webinars? What are all these things? I had no idea a couple of months ago. It was always in my mind that, hey, for Tradecraft, we can't be real estate focused, and so we're going to need to figure this out. And this is just put that onto hyperdrive. This is what everybody's talking about. So this would be the time to do it. If there's a way to integrate in FaceTime, virtual meetings, virtual conferences, things like that, now would be the time to do it. So if part of your business was wasted on traveling to, walking through meetings with clients, whether that's home services, whether that's new projects, something like that, if a client can do a FaceTime and put their camera in and walk you through exactly what it is, they're going to be more advantageous to do that now anyways. They don't want to be 6 feet from anybody else. So those are some of the things that your company might look to pivoting to right now, whether that's getting your brand presence out, marketing presence out digitally, or whether that's internal processes, communication within your team or communication with clients. Now's really the time to be looking at some of those digital solutions in a really meaningful way, because everybody's going to be open to it. Okay, future. How long we're in for. This is not going to be done by Easter. I'd love to believe President Trump in saying that we're going to pivot to maybe relaxing some of the social distancing by Easter. Hopefully we do. But the fallout from 3.3 million people going unemployment, capital markets adjusting to this shock, this is going to have some ripple effects that we're only going to know a year from now. So don't approach this as a small business. Don't approach this with rose-colored glasses. Things are, especially for the construction industry, they're going to get worse before they get better. I'm anticipating, just for us, we're going to see a lot of changes and a lot of contraction here in the next 30, 60, 90, 120 days at least. And so be looking at how that change is coming. It can be scary if you're not anticipating it, but if you are anticipating it, hunker down and circle the wagons and anticipate this is going to be longer than what the physical effects are going to be. So if we hopefully reach the peak here with COVID cases and the mortality rate and everything sooner rather than later, let's hope that happens. But the economic impacts of this are going to be some ripple effects on out. It's not. I don't think it's going to be as bad or as long lasting as 08, 09 from the stuff that I'm seeing. I'm not an economist. I'm just looking at what I'm trying to forecast. So if anybody has any comments or has a magic crystal ball, that'd be great. Let me know where you log on to something like that. But in general, that's what I'm anticipating from all of the conversations and articles that are out there from Goldman Sachs to friends of mine that look to short markets just like this. This is kind of what they're telling me. On a slightly happier note, Tradecraft, we do a lot of events around here, and we're not doing those, especially in April, and who knows for how much longer. I'm looking into doing some virtual events, so virtual happy hours. There's virtual bingo. There's virtual poker rooms, and I'm starting to look at how can you invite specific people and still keep that social aspect of some of those virtual things. If anybody has some recommendations for that, I don't play online poker. I just signed up for something, and I think I might have signed up for the wrong thing, and now they've got my information. So if anybody has a good way to do a virtual poker room or virtual things like this, where it's happy hours and it's still a business kind of networking connection, let's laugh as much as we can. Let's do a few of these things and not get cabin fever as much as what I think is gonna start happening with folks here in the next couple of weeks. Reach out, send me an email if anybody has some good connections on that. I'm looking to do that for Tradecraft, and if anybody's interested in doing some of those, I'll send out the invites. And that's really about it, folks. If anybody has any other resources, connections, has heard things, please email me, let me know, and we'll put it out for everybody. So, like I say, not to beat a dead horse, but let's circle the wagons and help each other out in times like this. And we'll get through it just like we do everything. So everybody have a great day, and let me know if you have any other questions, comments, concerns. Thanks much.